If you like stories about courage, drive and unexpected turns, click play and let's go. I, Anastasia, am the author of unique and fascinating stories. Subscribe and like. I have many stories for every taste.
The sun beat down mercilessly, melting the asphalt of Arizona's Interstate 40. Veteran driver Danny Dragovich adjusted his baseball cap, wiping sweat from his brow. Behind him, in the refrigerated compartment of his battered freightliner, lay a cargo worth more than his entire life combined, a shipment of experimental microchips for the military. The mission was secret and therefore risky. Danny knew it. He always knew it. But he needed the money like air. His old truck, nicknamed the Iron Dragon, rumbled to match his leisurely nature. Danny, like his truck, was reliable, straightforward, and always got the job done. He had driven thousands of miles on American roads, seen it all, but today's mission gave him a bad feeling. Suddenly, a group of jeeps appeared in the rearview mirror, brazen and pitch black. Danny frowned. This was bad. He knew something was wrong. His intuition, honed by years of driving, signaled danger. The jeeps began to approach, cutting him off from both sides. Danny slowed down, hoping that they were just road hogs. But they continued to be brazen. Their drivers, sullen types in dark glasses, were clearly plotting something. One of the jeeps suddenly jumped forward, blocking his way. "Oh, shit," Danny muttered, gripping the wheel. He knew things were getting hot. Men jumped out of the jeeps, armed as if in war. Their faces were hidden under balaclavas, but their eyes were cruel. One of them, a big guy with tattoos on his arms, ran up to the cab and started pounding on the glass. Danny knew it was futile to resist. He wasn't an action hero. He was just a trucker who knew the road and how to survive. But he also knew he had to protect the cargo. He looked at his GPS. The nearest traffic police station was about 50 miles away. Danny thought quickly. He turned off the ignition, but left the refrigerator running. That might buy him some time. He unbuckled his seatbelt and opened the door, prepared for the worst. The big guy smashed the glass, his hand reaching for the door. Danny jumped out of the cab, dodging the blow. He wasn't going to give up. Suddenly, from around the corner of the cab, he pulled out a tire iron. There was no time to think. A tough but brutal fight ensued. Danny, using all the skills he had learned in his youth, coupled with excellent reflexes, delivered several quick blows, forcing the bandits to retreat. He was older, but experience is the best teacher. "Over here," he yelled, pointing at the cabin. "Follow me." Danny slipped back into the cabin, slamming the door. The bandits began shooting at the car, bullets piercing the metal. But Drag was ready. He started up and pressed the gas pedal to the floor. The Iron Dragon roared, tearing off. Instead of driving in a straight line, Danny sharply turned the steering wheel, directing the car towards the side of the road. He decided that he needed to jump out of the trap. The bandits, stunned by the sudden attack, did not have time to react. Their jeeps, not expecting such a turn, were left behind. Danny, feeling the adrenaline that was coursing through his veins, drove the car along the deserted road, escaping from pursuit. He raced at a mad speed, trying to get away from the pursuit. Bullets continued to whistle over his head, breaking glass and piercing the cabin. Danny, not paying attention to the danger, concentrated on the road. He knew that he had only one chance, to escape from this deadly trap. "Well, bitches, try to catch me," he growled under his breath. He squeezed everything he could out of the old truck. Drag knew this car like the back of his hand. He felt every creak, every knock, every jerk. Danny maneuvered, dodged bullets, drove around potholes as if dancing on the brink of death. The pursuers, having come to their senses, began to regroup. One of the jeeps, overtaking the others, tried to block his way. Danny swerved the wheel, avoiding the collision. He drove along the shoulder, over sand and rocks, almost tipping over. "We'll see who wins," he shouted. Suddenly, he saw in the rearview mirror how one of the jeeps jumped out in front and tried to overtake him. Danny realized that they wanted to stop him, to trap him. He had to do something. Danny swerved the wheel, heading toward the jeep. He knew it was risky, but he had no other choice. "We'll see who's stronger," he thought. There was a terrible impact. The Iron Dragon collided with the jeep, sweeping it off the road. The jeep flipped over, throwing sparks. Danny felt a strong impact. He was thrown around the cabin, but he held on. He survived. He kept driving, ignoring the pain and fatigue. He knew he still had a chance. He had to get to the traffic police post. He soon noticed that his pursuers were falling behind. They had apparently not expected such a fierce fight. Danny felt a surge of hope. But then, from around the corner, another jeep jumped out. It blocked his way. Danny realized that he was trapped. He was caught between two fires. Bandits jumped out of the jeep, ready to finish him off. They shot, but Danny dodged, using the truck's cabin as cover. At this critical moment, Danny saw the flashing lights of the traffic police, which were very close. He knew that this was his last chance. Gathering all his strength, Danny stepped on the gas and drove the truck straight at the bandits. He rammed the jeep, sweeping it off the road. The bandits, not expecting such impudence, fled in panic. Danny, wounded but not broken, continued driving. He reached the traffic police post. When he jumped out of the cabin, he was staggering from fatigue and loss of blood. He was covered in blood, but with a beaming smile on his face. The police, seeing his condition, rushed to his aid. They wanted the cargo," Danny croaked, falling to his knees. The police, having assessed the situation, immediately began an operation to detain the bandits. Soon, the bandits were arrested, and the cargo was saved. Danny, lying in a hospital ward, was recovering from a difficult fight. He was full of bruises and abrasions, but he felt like a winner. He had protected his cargo, his car, his life. A police captain came to him. "Mr. Dragovich, you are a real hero," he said. "You saved cargo worth millions of dollars. You showed incredible courage and determination." Danny smiled. "I was just doing my job," he replied. A few days later, Danny was discharged from the hospital. His Iron Dragon was repaired. Danny returned to his work, but with a different feeling. He knew that he would have to face new dangers, but he was ready. He was Danny Dragovich, a trucker who was not afraid of difficulties. He sat behind the wheel of his Iron Dragon, started the engine, and set off on a new adventure, realizing that his life was an endless road. He knew that he still had thousands of miles to drive, many roads, sunsets and sunrises to see. He would fight the wind, rain, and snow, but he would never give up. After all, he was Danny Dragovich, a trucker whose life was connected to the road, to his iron horse, and to the cargo that needed to be delivered. A new cargo was waiting for him, a new route was laid, and Danny was ready. He was ready for the road, for the adventures, for the fight, because he was a trucker, and that was his calling. He knew that the road was life, and life was the road, and he would drive it to the end. Soon Danny was rewarded for his bravery. He was given a medal and a cash reward. But for him, the main reward was that he remained true to himself. He remained who he was. He was a trucker. He drove along the roads, humming old country songs under his breath. Days and nights merged into one. He saw the change of seasons, driving through different states, from snowy mountains to scorching deserts. One day, Danny received another secret mission. This time, the cargo was even more valuable and dangerous. He knew that another deadly fight awaited him. But he was ready. He was a trucker. He started his iron dragon and hit the road. The road was calling him. Life was calling him, and he answered. Danger lurked around every corner. Bandits, crooks, traitors, they all wanted to get their hands on his cargo. But Danny didn't give up. He fought, using his skills, his wits, and his experience. He survived the battle, but suffered significant losses. His truck was badly damaged, and he himself was wounded. But he delivered the cargo. He was a trucker, and again he restored his iron dragon and hit the road again. He knew that his life would be full of dangers, but he was not afraid. He loved his job. He loved the road. He was Danny Dragovich, a trucker who drove thousands of miles, who experienced many adventures, who never gave up. He was a hero. He was a legend. And his iron dragon, his faithful friend, would always be next to him, ready for new roads, new adventures, new battles. Danny Dragovich, a trucker whose life is the road. He drove through the desert, music playing in his head, and a thirst for freedom in his heart. A new road, new adventures, and new challenges awaited him. But he was ready. He was Danny Dragovich, a trucker who never gives up. And he would drive on the road as long as his heart beats in his chest, and his iron dragon would serve him faithfully and truly. Danny knew that his life on the road was not only danger and risk, but also beauty, freedom, and unforgettable impressions. He loved these endless spaces, these incredible sunsets and sunrises, these small towns that he passed. He was a part of this road. It was a part of him. Soon, Danny became a legend among truckers. His stories were passed from mouth to mouth. His courage was admired, and his dedication to his work was an inspiration. He became the symbol of the American trucker, a man who was not afraid of difficulties and always remained true to himself. Danny continued to travel the roads of America, hauling cargo, saving lives, and proving that a real hero can be found in the most ordinary place, behind the wheel of an old truck. And while his iron dragon rumbled under his control and the sun illuminated the endless roads, Danny knew that he was home. He was Danny Dragovich, a trucker whose life is the road, and he was ready to drive it to the very end. He knew that the road would never end, and neither would his adventures. But he was ready. He was Danny Dragovich, a trucker ready for any challenge. The end